So I didn't stream yesterday because I left to go to San Francisco to watch the finale of League of Legends year of tournaments, year of gameplay. You don't really need to know how it works. All you need to know is that the final tournament is called Worlds, and that involves, as you could imagine, every country around the world, and it's the best teams all competing for the grand title. But I was never that into League up until this year when I competed in the Mr. Beast tournament, and then I had a baby League phase, which we'll never forget, even though we are happy it is dead and behind us now. Speaking of, I kind of want to bring it back, but it's dead and behind us now. But what if we brought it back? It's dead and behind us. I decided it would be a cool boss move if I bought a booth at this League of Legends event and invited all of my friends to come watch with me. It'd be a baller move, it'd be a great vibes play, and we'd all be able to hang out and watch one of the coolest esports events. That was my idea. And so I tried to buy a booth. I went to all my connections at Riot Games. I said, hey, can I get a booth? And they said, we're out. We can get you a pass, but probably not your friends because we have so many creators who want to go. And I was like, okay, well, that's fair. That's reasonable. But I really want to go with all of my friends and coworkers. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna try to figure out a solution for this. So I reach out directly to the Chase Center. I reach out directly and I say, hey, I want to go to this event. Do you guys have any suites or booths available? This sweet lady on the phone, she's like, yes, we do. Absolutely. What you can do is you can sign up for our list. All you have to do is put down a small deposit. And I said, great, 2 pieces of info I need. 1, how much does it cost for the deposit? And 2, how big is this list? She was like, it's about $500 to do a down payment, and there are 100 other people on the list. I was like, bitch, you don't have that many booths. She was like, yes, that's correct. Yes, we do not. And I was like, what are my odds here? She was like, not great, not great. So I put up $500 and I get on the list, deep in, not expecting much, really expecting this whole plan to fall through. A week passes, I get a call and she's like, great news, we can get you a booth. And I say, oh, great, what booth is it? Because we had talked about one of those booths that it's like on the second floor that kind of has like 12 seats that overlooks everything. And it was about like $6,000 in price. That was the one I was hoping to get. She was like, well, I have amazing news actually. We have the best booth in the entire arena available, but you would have to act right now. And I was like, I mean, sounds kind of PogChamp. Sounds kind of cool. I know big celebs like Adam Sandler go to basketball games and they sit in fancy spots, you know, like you see them on the courtside cams and all that. And I am as close as you can probably get to the Adam Sandler of the League of Legends world. Like, if I'm ever going to be close to Adam Sandler, it's within the esports sphere that I get close. So maybe I should go for the high roller seat. So I say, yeah, you know what? I'm down. Get me the high roller booth. How much is it? She's like, well, sir, it is $50,000, including tax and all that. But that does not include the food you get at site. Okay. I pulled the trigger. I was nervous that if I delayed, I would not be able to get any seats at all, which is the only thing I wanted to do because I was so deep in the wait list that I just pulled the trigger. I said, yes, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be such a cool experience watching League of Legends live. A couple days pass. I call back. Hey, I have 2 questions. She's like, yeah, what's up? 1, how do I get food? 2nd question, how many seats does this hold? How I didn't ask this before signing up to buy it, I don't know. This is a lapse of my judgment, and we can now spend some times -2ing me because I deserve it for not doing the due diligence that I should have. And this woman says to me, you get 16 tickets. And I'm like, great, 16 seats. And she says, nope, that's not what I said. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you get 16 tickets, but there are only 12 seats. What is that? How? So there are 16 tickets to get you into the lounge, and the lounge areas where you can eat and drink and hang out in between games. But the actual arena seating only has 12 spots. And I was like, fine. Presumably we can just stand around the seats. And she said, no, there's security there. And I thought, this would be the worst spend of $50,000 I've ever done in my life, but I have 2 stories that beat it out. So I'm going to put this at number 3, and I haven't even gotten there yet. I was like, fine. All right. A little bit smaller of a group than I was thinking. Only 12, maybe 16 people that I could invite. It's a lot of money for each invite, but I went ahead and I started to create a list. So I invited a lot of friends, Atrioc, Stans, Nick Allen, of course, Cutie. There was some people from the company. Some people had +1s, yada, 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 yada. I think because of the way I was talking about how much the booth was and how cool it was to all of my friends, Aiden invited about 20 people without asking me. Aiden goes off and he's like, hey guys, so like Ludwig has this like really big booth and has like unlimited seats if you guys want to come. I find this out because Aiden calls me later that day and he goes, hey, could we add like 5 more people? And I say, no, Aiden, we are capped out. And he's like, what? Message gets through, but Eamon has to do the tough job of going to people and being like, you remember what I said? Keepo, just kidding, Lamau. And in a rare Aiden L, I'll call it rare, Aiden tells people that I invited that they couldn't go because we were full seats. So there's like a couple people who were invited by me, but were told by Aiden later that they couldn't go because he invited like 10 people and like 2 of the 10 were invited by me actually. And so then they thought they couldn't go, and I didn't know this until I arrived. Felt terrible. The only saving grace is that because that happened, we had exactly 12 people show up. Because Aiden's fuck up, we didn't have to have any awkward moments at the arena where we quickly found out that the 12 seat rule versus 16 lounge rule was pretty unshakable. So it kind of worked out in a way, but yes, that's what happened getting there. You know what? I hate setting shit up. So I'm doing this. I'm just like, I'm trying to like weave everyone together, max stress. Eventually we get everybody in and it's about 10 minutes before the world start, before the actual event starts. We arrive at our seats. Now our seats, I will say, were really fucking good with how close we were to the actual arena. I mean, it was amazing. This is like the stage. I took kind of a shit video, to be honest, but this is where we were sitting. This is the stage. This entire screen counted down, then it rose from the ground, and there was an opening act that we saw like fresh and up close. The opening ceremony was fucking beautiful, and it was insane to watch it from this angle. But yeah, this shit rose, and then we were here. This is literally my seat. That's a crazy spot. And at first, I was like, you know what? This shit might be worth $50,000. The opening video made me the biggest DRX fan, and I didn't know who they were before I got there.
사실 결승전에 오기까지 굉장히 오래 걸렸고.
For some context, the teams in the finals were T1, which is led by this guy Faker, who's considered the GOAT of League of Legends. And I know that because Atrioc does not shut the fuck up about it. He talks about Faker like I talk about Tom Brady times 10. It's absurd the love he has for this man, and his response is always, well, he is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time. Nobody has ever been better or had a better career or won more than this man right here. And he's going up against a team called DRX, who I didn't know a lot about, but this video will explain a bit more.
또 우승하고 싶은 마음이 그동안 컸던 것 같아요.
첫 결승전을 앞두고 있는데 뭔가 이 결승에 오르는 상상을 너무나도 많이 했어서 아직도 뭔가 꿈꾸고 있는 것처럼 실감이 나지 않는 것 같아요.
마포고등학교. 그 학교에 조용하고 수줍음 많은 두 소년들이 입학합니다. 그리고 리그 오브 레전드란 게임은 그들의 평범한 삶을 송두리째 바꾸게 됩니다.
학교에서 랭크 1등 우리 학교에 있다 이런 얘기를 들었어서 그때 처음 알게 됐던 것 같아요. 그 선수보다 내가 더 잘해줘서
같은 곳에서 시작해서
다른 길을 걸어와 다시 만나게 되었습니다.
Now the added details are that Deft, the guy who went to high school with Faker and then his classmate went on to be the greatest of all time, and he failed to ever reach the finals until this year, has an added fold that after this season, Deft was planning on going to his military service, which he's required to do as a male from Korea, and he was basically going to retire. So this was literally his last year, his final dance.
그 누구도 달성하지 못한 네 번째 우승을 노리고 있는 고투 페이커.
우승의 달콤함, 패배의 쓰라림. 절대로 우승을 놓치지 않을 겁니다. I'm ready for the fourth.
시작됩니다.
Now, I'm a simple man. I did not like the game of League of Legends until I watched Arcane, and I was not a fan of League of Legends esports until I watched this video. That's it. Those are the facts for me. And I don't think I'm alone in either of those sentiments. But all of a sudden, these two no-name people for me in my universe suddenly mattered. And these two teams from Korea, who I had no connection with, that live across the little pond we call the Pacific Ocean, were so important. And I instantly was Deft-pilled. I wanted Deft to win in his final dance, to thrive and succeed. But one thing was holding me back from truly being a Deft fan. And that is that I'd rather be a good friend. Because one of my best buds, Atrioc, did something a little bit crazy. When we were recording our video for the Mountain Bros versus Pros, he had an idea. Getting a tattoo after your team wins shows pride. But getting one the day before they play, that shows confidence. And this is the logo for T1, aka Faker's team, with the text inscribed permanently into his leg, World Champs 2022. It's a real tattoo that's on his body. I've seen it many times since then. And because of that, I was rooting for T1 to win, for Faker to get his fourth, and for Deft to fail on his final dance. Now the games start, and our view for the $50,000 event was a little bit worse than sitting at the front row of a movie theater. The tickets that I paid $50,000 for, the box with 12 seats that I brought all my friends out to watch, were perfect seats if we were watching people play basketball, because the players would be about 12 feet away from us and I'd be able to see somebody like, Steph Curry in 4K in front of my eyes. But it turns out that the ability to see Faker, who was sitting right here, and his hands move on the mouse don't really fucking help understand what's happening in the goddamn video game. And that esports aren't really good spectator sports live. Nobody actually watches the people play. You watch the screen above. And if you're sitting in the nosebleed seats, you have a big fucking screen to look at. But if you spent $50,000 because you thought it'd be fucking cool and it was going to be some hype seats that were really fucking dope, you're going to look like this for about 5 hours. Now, I didn't want to do that. Neither did the other 11 people that I was with. So we ended up watching the entire match from the lounge. We had our own private lounge. They had this giant TV that had the game on it. They had the game over here on a smaller TV. They had food and seats, and they had like a couch over here. You can about live this experience at home if you just DoorDash some food and you have a 70-inch TV. It's about the same experience. So I spent a shit ton of money. We order some food. We're having a good time, and the games start. Now, again, I'm secretly in the back of my head kind of rooting for Deft because I think it's a cool storyline for DRX, and I don't really want Faker to crush it. I spent almost the entirety of the game turning over, talking to Stans or Cutie or Atrioc and being like, hey, why did they ban that person? Why did they pick this? Why are people cheering because Bard was picked? A lot of things that require months, if not years of playing League to understand. I mean, shit, they have a song that plays specifically during Game 5s of League tournaments. They all started cheering when Game 5 happened and singing. I was like, what are we doing here? They're like, bro, it's Silver Stripes, bro. What do you mean? This is why you guys are all holeless. It's why people make fun of you. But I guess it's not too different from a baseball game having seventh inning stretches. It's just a little more holeless. and so the games start. And what I'm noticing is that even though this storyline was built around these two people from the same high school, one the GOAT, one who's never achieved greatness, they both kind of sucked. I mean, like, they're amazing. They're amazing players. They got carried a lot of the time. I was looking at the rest of the teams, and I'm like, damn, this Faker guy's dying a fuck ton. I thought he was the GOAT. What's Def's stat line right now? 0-0-0? Okay. All right, bet. Keep it up. Keep that energy. Sure. Why not? And it was a lot of the other players on the teams who I got to know throughout the game that were actually the really hard carries. They're kind of in their peaks of their careers. Faker and Deft are both 26 years old, which it turns out is really old for esports. I mean, for some context, Faker won a championship when he was 17 years old. So he's been in the pro league and one of the best players around for 10 years. And a lot of his power now doesn't even come from solo carrying games. Not that he can't do that. It comes from the fact that people force target him. Maybe they have 2 sent on him at all times and he's double guarded. So somebody else on the team can just kind of thrive because of that. They can farm more. They can get more powerful. They can carry the games. And he's more like a distraction. And the whole storyline for me that started forming was not, you know, hey, is he going to win it? Is he going to finally get his final dance? But it was, is Atrioc going to kill himself by the end of the night? Look at this guy. Look at Atrioc. This was every single play of the game over the course of 5 games. This was a best of 5. It went to game 5. Every single moment, he's like, yes! Or like he stops watching at some points. He left at certain points. He would just walk away. He would just literally walk away. I mean, there was stress. He was wearing the T1 jacket. He had a Faker shirt on. He had the tattoo that said T1 Champs 2022. He put his life on the line for this team. And it starts out pretty good. Game 1, Faker and T1 win. They actually win pretty handedly. Game 2, not so good. Win a game, lose a game, whatever. 1 for 1, never hurt nobody. Plus, it's more hype to go to a game 5 anyway, or a game 4 even. Game 3, very swingy. This is when I start to notice that it is oftentimes more fun to watch people play, not just esports, but any sport, when the games are super sloppy and everybody looks like they're playing incredibly bad. It's almost more hype, because oftentimes in the past, I've watched League of Legends, and by minute like 15, there's a team who has a lead, and they are so diligent that they carry that lead for the next 20 minutes, and then the game ends, and it's not a surprise what the result is after a third of the game being played out. That is not what happened at this event. The best metric for any newbie to understand a League of Legends game is gold lead. They'll show this graph occasionally. It'll always be at the top of the screen, but it'll show what the gold difference is between the 2 teams. And gold is how you get your items. It's how you become stronger. So if they're within like, you know, 100, 500, they're pretty even, all right? Even within 1,000, not that bad. It's still surmountable. But the gold lead flipped so many times throughout these games. Like there was 500,000, 2,000 gold lead swings all the time. But it blew my mind. It was the most hype I think any game has ever been for League of Legends, for any esport really. A lot of it came down to one specific player too, who was on DRX's team, who I found out was a content creator before he became a League of Legends pro, which reminds me of somebody. You know, hey, don't count me out. I still have some potential to grow pro with my fiddlesticks. And honestly, the way I look in the jungle with my smites, I might even be as good as Pyasik right now. I'm just saying. I'm not missing that many. This goes to a game 5. It's one of the fucking greatest game 5s ever. It's a huge lead for DRX almost the entire time up until there's a legendary Baron steal.
Herding them in. T1 didn't find a response. Guma, can he steal it? Guma will have to fire right What the fuck? Yuchi steals Baron to save this game.
Even if you don't contextually understand how lucky that was, how big of a swing it was in a game that they were so down in, you can understand how important it was just based off the fact that a Riot sanctioned and paid commentator said what the fuck on a broadcast with over 3 million people watching. That alone is telling you that that man's did something that humans should never do. Now this game goes to the wire. It goes to the end. And at the very end of it all, in a very close game, DRX defeats T1.
So that was Taker's
I'll just let the final moments play out.
Yeah. Wait, it's
It's actually over.
It's over.
It's actually over.
They did it.
Oh my God, they did it. They did it.
Oh, wow.
They actually just won like that. Dude,
The juxtaposition in emotions here is one of the rare beauties that you get in sporting events. Whether it's esports or the fucking Super Bowl, it is crazy to see that level of euphoria for the people who achieved the unachievable, becoming the champions of the world. And then the people who have the hard role of being the ones who let them become the world champions. The ones who were a single step away from greatness, a single team fight away from raising the trophy. It is a tough pill to swallow. And there are people like Faker who have probably been in that spot more times. And then people like Carrier, who is the support and arguably the MVP of the entire series. Even if he was on the losing team, he arguably played better than any of the 10 people at this stage. And he could not hold back the emotions. I think he did an interview after talking about just how mad and frustrated he was and how lost he felt in life. And there was also another person who was equally frustrated, lost.
Don't fucking film it!
Hey, look, I'm just saying, the same way you gotta film Carrier when he's losing to understand the emotions of somebody in the loss and how big the stakes are, you gotta also film your friends in those moments. Just... And part of the reason, again, he's so upset is because this, some people think is Photoshop, was actually a very real tattoo that lives on his body. And let me tell you, the tweets started flooding in. It went from about like 7,000 or 10,000, maybe 15,000 likes to 43,000 likes overnight. But I will give credit to Atrioc, who did let the world know that he is and always has been the biggest MKLeo, aka T1 MKLeo fan in the world, and this tattoo reflects that. Now, they got the Smash World Tour coming at the end of the year here, so we'll see. We got a big sweat again from my boy Atrioc. He technically would be a world champ. Technically be a world champ. And that was the event. And you know what? It got me fucking hype on my event. If you guys haven't heard yet, my chess boxing event that's happening December 11th at the Galen Center in Los Angeles, California, now has tickets available to be bought. So if you guys want to get your tickets, I posted a tweet about it. You can get them. We have some VIP seats that are on the floor, and they include like a private bar area where I'll hang out with you guys. It won't be like a fully fleshed meet and greet, but I'll be like there hanging out, chatting for a bit, you know. But I don't think there are any booths. Well, actually, for 50K, I could put in a good word if you want.